Hello, everyone. Just a weekly update. Just wanted to catch you up on what we talked about last night and some different things coming up here in the near future and what that might look like. The first one is we do have a meeting this Sunday, immediately following 10:45, so be there and we'll chat about a few things that are happening and what that looks like. I want to do like a Valentine's something, whether it's a banquet or a meal or whatever the case may be. So we may talk about this a little bit Sunday at our small group leaders meeting and just kind of what that looks like. And I want it to be fun, yet I don't know. We'll talk about it more. I have some ideas and we'll kind of go from there. We're also going to do a Phoenix Suns game in April with the whole church, and so you'll be hearing a lot about that. And it'll be a family night for our church at the Phoenix Suns. It'll be super fun. So there's a lot of stuff coming up, and yeah, so I just want to let you know about that. We kind of just continue the conversation about masks and truly being who we are and who God wants us to be. Jesus, we looked at Matthew 7, I think it's 19 through 34, which is a pretty familiar passage. And a lot of times when we talk about this, we talk about stuff and things that we have. But I really think Jesus was trying to get at that if those are your focus, then you can lose your identity in who God wants you to be. And that it's not that we shouldn't work. It's not that we shouldn't do things to acquire money so that we can live. But it's more that our identity shouldn't be wrapped up in those things and in that thought. And that if it is, then maybe we're not truly being who God's called us to be. There's a line that we kind of focus on at the end. He says, or not at the end, we focus on it, but it's in the middle of the passage. And he looks at the disciples and says, "You have little faith." So we kind of hit on that a lot of times we have faith, but sometimes it's small. And then when we say we believe in Jesus and we say we believe in God and we believe that he knows what's best for us, yet we still live into the idea that we want to be in control, it causes this idea of serving two masters, which Jesus talks about. So I really think the whole passage isn't about things, although that could be part of it. I think it's more about where do we find our identity, and is our identity wrapped in who God is and what God's desires are for the world? Because if that's the case, that's where we'll be, that's what we'll be doing, that's what we'll be about. Or is it about getting money and so much so that that's all our life is about? And so just once again, just kind of about identity. You can really hit on the eye, where it talks about the eye being a lamp to the body, and how that a lot of times, I think this can be twofold, that how we are on the inside causes us to look at things and in some sense illuminate things on the outside in specific or particular ways. It can also be that if our eyes are open to the wonder of who God is and what he is trying to continually do in our lives, then it allows light to come in and our inside can be lit up with who he is. But if our eyes are squinty, kind of like a greedy person, and it doesn't allow not much light in, and then if we're totally about self, our eyes are closed to what could potentially be happening around us in other people's lives and what God's doing in the world. So it can go twofold, that who we are on the inside allows us to see certain things in particular ways, and then the opposite can be true, that if our eyes are open to seeing what God is doing and being a part of that, then it lets the light into our lives and causes us to be different on the inside. So you can really hit on that, and I kind of came at it pretty hard and said that some people, if you looked at their Twitter account, then you might not think that they go to church, and you might not think that they are trying to be who God's called them to be, that we need to be this holistic idea of discipleship and living for God. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about, is deeper into what is our identity, what do we wrap ourselves in, what is the motivation for our lives, and if it isn't on bringing God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, if it isn't wrapped up in God initiative and steeped in God's life and God's direction, then maybe our faith isn't as big as we would think it might be, and maybe it's not as big as what others may think it is in our own lives. So if you have any questions, let me know. If not, see you Sunday morning, and once again after the meeting, or for the meeting afterwards. And if you haven't let me know if you can be there, please do that so that I make sure I have enough food. And it will be great. Looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. Bye.